Hey you! Thanks for tuning in. Today we are going to be talking about all things Big Brother. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Haleigh Broucher and I was on season 20 of the show that we're going to be talking about today. For those of you that do know me and are not new here, thank you for tuning in. Wow, do we have a lot to talk about. So the last time I made a video, we didn't have the cast yet. I told you guys not to riot until we knew who was on. And surprisingly, everyone was pretty content with this cast. What I want to do today is first talk about everyone that's on this season. We can talk about their accomplishments, their wins, what they're most known for, and what we can expect from them. Then, after we get past that part, I want to talk about the game that's already being played. Fair warning, after I introduce all of the players, I am going to talk about some live feed action, some stuff that maybe you guys don't know has gone on yet. And if you don't want that spoiled for you, just cut the video after we talk about the players. So before I begin, I think it's important to highlight the way production is spinning this season. Yes, it is an all-star season, but it is broken into winners, America's favorites, and people that just deserved a second chance. With that in mind, I think it's not fair to judge every single person on this season and say, oh, they're not worthy or they don't deserve to be there. First of all, they are. Second of all, they're there. Third of all, who hired you and put you on CBS's production? The last time I checked, you're a viewer just like me, and we need to appreciate the people that are there and understand that this game is something we could never fathom the difficulty of, and know that everyone there is worthy in their own right. First and foremost. So I'm going to introduce everyone from the earlier seasons up, which means it's only right for this video to be introduced with the all-star herself, JANELLE. I have been a fan of the show for quite some time, and you don't think about a strong Big Brother woman and not think about JANELLE. If I want anyone to do well, she is the one. I need her to go far. I know she's gonna bring everything we need from her, and I was so excited when I found out she was gonna be on. For those of you that don't know JANELLE, she was on 3 prior seasons. She was on season 6, season 7, and season 14. Actually, in season 7, she set the record for the most individual won comps, and if that doesn't speak volumes, I don't know what does. Her first 2 seasons were very strong, but then she came back as a coach in season 14. She didn't have as many wins and she didn't make it as far, but she's such an icon that you can't even hold that against her. She came in 3rd place 2 different times and then placed 12th in her last season. One thing I will say about JANELLE is she is the player out of this cast that has played the most seasons, which gives her such an edge because she is so experienced with that house. But it also is a double-edged sword in the fact that everyone knows she's played the most times. Everyone's aware of that. It's not a secret, so everyone knows she has an upper edge, and I do worry that that's going to put a huge target on her later on in the game. It already kind of has, but she's been able to maneuver around it, so hopefully someone else puts a target on their back because I cannot lose her. I can't. She has to make it to the end. Which brings us to KAYSAR. Right now in the game, JANELLE and KAYSAR are closely aligned, which is to be expected. KAYSAR was on 2 seasons, season 6 and 7, both with JANELLE, so it only makes sense for them to align and work very closely together. KAYSAR came in 10th both times, but he held his own and was known as the Sovereign 6 leader. I think he's a strong player. I think he's very charismatic, so I think he's gonna bring a little bit of life to our TV. And from what I've seen so far from the episodes that's aired, he's very calculated, which I think is going to take him far. Again, he's aligning strongly with JANELLE. I do need him to work on outside relationships that he's building with other players, because I think right now he's just focused on JANELLE and the very few people they trust, which is, I think, a great thing. But I also could see it hurting him eventually if he doesn't have those bigger alliances to keep him safe further throughout the game. Moving on to Danielle Donato, also on 2 seasons, season 8, season 13. Her first season she got 2nd place, which is an accomplishment in itself. 2nd season she got 8th, still amazing. She's a super comp beast, she's very well rounded, she's very easy to like, and I'm excited to watch her play. I didn't realize how sharp her tongue was until I started watching the live feeds, and she can cut some wounds with her tongue, which does worry me because I think she can do it unintentionally, and I could see her rubbing someone the wrong way and not even meaning to. So I hope she's able to kind of rein that in and not like let that loose until the very end of the game, because it's very easy to hurt someone's feelings in that house and not even be meaning to. and with how sharp her tongue is, I think it could be even easier for her. Let's move on to KEESHA. Spoiler alert, if you guys haven't watched Thursday's episode, go ahead and pause this video and go watch the episode before I continue what I'm saying. Okay, did you pause it? Did you catch up? So now that we're all on the same page, KEESHA was the first boot. I made a video last week saying who I thought would go first. Obviously, you guys did not get that video. I thought it was between KEESHA, Ian, and Nicole A. Those were my three people that I was very worried about because I think they all have very quiet personalities. They all are kind of meek socially. So my statement was that's gonna help them in the long run, but if they can't hang on for the first few weeks, that's why. Because they can't be as socially dominant as all the other players. I was very, very sad to see KEESHA go, but I'm a big Kevin fan as well. So it was gonna suck either way. I'm very sad to see her leave, but we have not gotten confirmation if she's gonna be gone or not. So let's talk about KEESHA's season. She was on one season, which was season 10. She made it super far. She got 4th place, and then in the end, get this, was betrayed by none other than Memphis. Which brings us to Memphis. For those of you that did watch Thursday's episode, you know he is now the reigning HOH. We will talk about that after I get through all this because I have some spoilers and I have some opinions about him. But Memphis was on season 10 with KEESHA. He backstabbed her at the very end of the game. He made it to final 2 and then lost. As far as Memphis goes in this game, I really didn't know much about him before this season. I didn't really remember anything that he did in his season, so I had to go back and like refresh my memory. His personality is a little bleak and a little muted. I don't know entertainment value what we'll get from him this season, but maybe he'll play a strategic game. We'll see. Moving on to Kevin. Kevin was on season 11. I adored him on season 11. He's been targeted early, as we have already seen, but don't write him off because he was targeted early in his first season as well, and he went on all the way to 3rd place. If y'all remember and have seen season 11, that was the season that they had cliques, and Kevin was part of the Offbeats clique. He was targeted a little early, nothing too serious, but he got his way out of it, he maneuvered his way around, and got 3rd. I think he's great. Personality shines through, entertainment value is there. I'm pumped to watch. Moving on to ENZO, or better known as the Meow Meow. So ENZO was on season 12. Most known for being in the Brigade, which, as some of you may know, the Brigade was an alliance that absolutely dominated the entire season. He was part of it. He ended up going pretty far. He made it all the way to 3rd place. Entertainment value through the roof. He's been very entertaining so far, and I'm very glad to see him on my TV. Now let's talk about Ian. Ian is the first winner that we're talking about in this show. Ian was on season 14. He played a very low-key game. He was very mild and meek, which could hurt him in this game because there's so many strong personalities that I do worry about his ability to hang on to the end. If he can get past week 4 or 5, I think he's gonna go very far, but I do worry about his beginning game because when you do come into this show with a meek and mild personality, it's very easy for you to become the easy move because no one has those bonds and those close relationships with you, so I do worry about him. I also worry about Nicole A, but we'll get to that. Ian has 6 comp wins under his belt. He is not playing when it comes to competitions. He's very, very intelligent. He is very strategic when it comes to the way he plays the game. The only thing I think you could just pretend to knock away from him would be that social game. He's not going to be the one that walks into the room and starts a conversation with everyone in there. He's going to be more of the quiet player, and this is such a dominant personality house. I worry about that for him. But I am rooting for him to go far. Moving on to Nicole Franzel. Nicole Franzel is our second winner we are talking about. She was on season 16 and season 8. Season 16, she came in 7th, and then she came back and won season 8. If I had to describe Nicole's gameplay, I would describe it in a very sly way. She's very good at that naive play, which I think was good for her on season 18, but I worry about it this season because everyone knows that's her game. So I do worry about people being able to pinpoint her game strategy moves and her not being able to complete her moves to the fullest extent because people are catching on to her gameplay. She's another one that's a little bit shy, a little bit more reserved, but I don't think it's anything that's anyone needs to worry about. I do know, watching the live feeds, she's been struggling a little bit emotionally, as everyone else has. It just really has affected her early on in the game. So I'm hoping she's able to pull it together, get her mind on the game, and go forward, because I know in that house, if you have anything that's blocking the game, like anything on the outside that's affecting your mental state, it's gonna transfer over into the game. So I hope she can get it together. I hope she can go far. I'm excited to see her play again. I loved both seasons I got to watch from her, and I'm excited to see if she has a new gameplay for us, since her sly, quiet gameplay might already be known to everyone. Now to Dayvon. Dayvon was on 2 seasons as well, 17 and 18. So she was on the season Nicole won. Season 17, she got 16th place. Season 18, she got 11th. She was a big fan favorite. I think she's gonna go very far in this game because I think she's learned from the other 2 seasons. Regardless of what you have figured out, you don't always have to tell everyone. That was the thing with Dayvon. She was always so aware and she always knew what was going on, but she just told the wrong people. And so when you tell the wrong people how aware you are of the game, you're seen as a threat because they didn't see that, number one. And number two, you're probably seeing things about their game they don't want you to see. So I hope she's learned from that, and I hope she keeps her observations more to her chest. Moving on to Cody. Cody was on season 16 and he came in 2nd place next to Derek. Now, I have some thoughts about Cody. So, first and foremost, I think he played an amazing game season 16. What I will say is he got very lucky in being Derek's partner. Cody is the first one we've gotten to see make game moves this season, and I have some thoughts on it. Number one, his move was very safe, which is a good thing from a game standpoint. It's boring from a viewer standpoint, but it's a good thing for gameplay. His gameplay was very safe this week, but I worry that he's the type of player that kind of needs a director, and maybe he's coming on here feeling like he has something to prove, so he's not gonna need that person to keep him rational and keep him game-minded. But I do worry that there's a few people in that house that are going to fill the Derek spot for Cody, Tyler, and it's just gonna be another bomb squad situation. And as we all know, the first HOH of every single season has an advantage because everyone's gonna come to you with a deal. Everyone's gonna come to you with information. They're gonna wanna work together because you're safety right now. If they can get in good with the first HOH, they're safe that first week, and that's a good feeling to have. So overall, I'm interested to see how Cody's game goes this season, because while I will give him all the credit for being an amazing player, I think he's great, he's a comp beast, he's very strategic, but I'm gonna give a lot of credit to Derek as well. I am very upset that we did not see on this season. Now, moving on to Christmas. Christmas was on season 19. As most everyone knows, she hurt herself early on. She ended up breaking her foot, which everyone would think that would completely ruin your game, but what it actually did is she turned it into a sympathy thing to where she had HOHs thrown to her. Literally, people were handing her HOHs, and if that's not a telltale sign of someone's social game, I don't know what is. She made it very far, making it to 3rd place, which I think speaks volumes to her and her game, because she wasn't at her 100% best. She had a broken foot, she worked with what she could, and she made it all the way to the end. I'm excited to see her play. I've actually been very surprised with her social game. Not that I expected her to have a bad one, but I just didn't expect her to have this good of one. Now moving on to season 20, which I am very partial to. First and foremost, we stan Bayleigh Dayton in this house. Most everyone knows Bayley's. On season 20, she was 11th place, first jury member, and ended up being the deciding vote for who won season 20. She was part of Falte, the Hive, whatever you want to call it. Ended up finding her husband on the show, as we all know, and she's one of the most amazing people I know. Let's talk about Bayleigh's gameplay. Bayleigh's social game is very strong. She's very easy to feel safe around, which I think is going to work to her advantage. She is very talkative, which is actually great for her because I think she's going to keep herself in the game. She's going to keep her name in alliances, and I think it's going to help her go further. Most everyone knows there was a huge feud between her and Tyler Crispin on our season. There was a lot of emotion that was going into that, and I think from watching the live feeds and watching her this season, I think she's taken the emotional aspect of the game out. And I think she's playing very strategically and very, very well, if I do say so myself. I would love to see Bayleigh take this to the end. I think she's very capable, she's very intelligent, she's very strong, she's very good at social interactions, so I think she'll be able to take it very, very far. As long as paranoia doesn't set in, I think she's fine. And I love seeing her on my TV screen. Next person from season 20 is Tyler Crispin. Season 20's America's favorite. He got second place, and let's be honest, he knows how to play this game. So season 20, Tyler had a very strong alliance to work with, which was level 6, and his gameplay was something I don't think he's gonna be able to duplicate. He came into the house with a very doe-eyed, naive tactic, which worked well for him, as you all saw. But there's no way he can do this season, which if you watch the live feeds and you're watching the show, you can tell he's kind of having to change his strategy because everyone in that house knows Tyler Crispin knows how to play this game. So he can't act like he doesn't anymore. One thing that I think he didn't learn from season 20 is that you can't make deals with everyone. He's been handing out deals left and right, which worked well last time, it just didn't work well enough. I think as long as he's careful not to over-promise, he's gonna be fine, and I see him taking it far. Moving on to David. So there's a lot of controversy surrounding this, but let me tell you what I think. So David was on season 21. For those of you who watched season 21, you will know David was out very early due to a camp comeback whatever twist. And there was a lot of controversy surrounding season 21, and a lot of the actions and things that were said that season just don't sit right with me. And if you asked me right now, if anyone from all of the seasons deserved a chance to come back and prove the player that they are, it would be David. David, very early on, pinned every single house guest. He pinned who was working together, who he could trust. He knew right away. He just didn't have the chance to showcase that. He's very athletic. He seems intelligent. He seems emotionally adapted. I think he's gonna do well, and I'm actually glad that we will get to see him perform. Spoiler alert again, as some of you may know, David is currently on the block. Memphis put him up, which I think Memphis put him up next to Nicole A. I am very, very upset that this is the situation that everyone is in this week, and I'm very upset about the potential outcome of this HOH. I don't even want to pretend to say what I would prefer out of him and Nicole. I really just hope that they're not sitting next to each other next Thursday, and I really hope they can figure something out with this. Which brings us to Nicole A. So Nicole A was also on season 21. She was a fan favorite. She got America's favorite house guest. She ended up getting third, which she went to the final 3 with the showmance, so she really didn't have any other option. She played a very strategic game, but she also played a very quiet game. If you notice, she really wasn't getting too involved in the bigger alliances. She wasn't very loud. She wasn't very in the middle of things, if that makes sense, which worked to her advantage because the bigger dogs just took themselves out. But this is a different season in the fact that the bigger dogs are gonna go after the little ones first. So I do worry about her not socially integrating well enough, which is why I think maybe she's in the predicament she is this week, because she didn't form that strong social tie. She didn't form that bond with Memphis, and I think that's why she is where she is right now. If she's able to get out of it, I really would love to see her build some stronger social connections with everyone and some deeper relationships. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is our all-star cast. I am very excited to see how this game plays out. As most of you live feeders know, it has been kind of slow the past week, but I think that's because there just hasn't been much game to be played yet, but we're definitely starting to play the game. Spoiler alert for live feeders. As most of you know, David has been put up next to Nicole. I knew as soon as Memphis won, this was gonna be a move he was going to make. I'm not happy with it. I wish I could change it. But at this point, we're just gonna have to see how the week falls. There's no definite alliances. I think that's one thing we can all notice, is that there's no definite alliances yet. So until then, I don't think it's safe for us to try to assume about what's going to happen. So all we can do is sit back and watch. With that being said, I love you guys. If you guys want more content from me, you can always go follow me on any of my other socials. It's just at Haleigh Broucher. And I've also started a Patreon account if you guys want more frequent Big Brother updates that are a little less edited. you can go to patreon.com/HaleighBrocker. I love you all so much, and I can't wait to tune in next Sunday.